Here is another video that I think you will find extremely helpful and something that would be relatively easy to do. And that would be to add an additional stringer to, or more than one stringer, to a stairway that is structurally weak. And you see these a lot. They often have one stringer on each side, and they might be 36 inches wide and have 2x6 or 2x12 in them. And just wanted to give you an idea of what the stairway would have looked like if it was built with more stringers or built correctly. And I hate to suggest that someone built something incorrectly, because we still have a factor of time. You know, over time the wood can weaken and create problems. But this is usually what the stairway is going to look like. It might be on the outside of a house. And this is what it would look like if it had risers on it. And if we go underneath the stairway, we can, and I'm not going to suggest that everyone's already figured this out, but I have. It is extremely difficult to cut another stringer and slide it in here somehow. It's just not going to happen. So the first way that you can do something like this would be to remove the treads and risers and then simply install new stair stringers. And I know that in some cases people are thinking like, oh, that's too much work. I got you, but this is one of the methods I've got to provide you with. You know, if you don't have any risers, it's going to be easier. If you don't have any risers, you might want to remove the treads, install the new stringers, and then install risers, and then install treads, or maybe even new treads also. But if you don't like that idea, I think that you'll like this one here, and that'll simply be grabbing a 2x6, a 2x8, whatever you think will work, maybe even a 2x4 on a smaller set of stairs. Or, you know, if you have 2x10 stringers, you might have to use a 2x4 for something like that. So here we have a 2x6, we have 2x12 stringers, and you can see there's a little bit of a gap here. So this is probably almost 6 inches on this for this particular stairway of meat here, we should say, on the stringer. And you might need to notch the bottom. You might need to notch the top also, depending upon the stair design, or you might even need to create a couple of patterns and measure this to fit precisely. And if you need help with that, leave a comment in the comment area, and I will make another video for that. You can always email me a picture of what you're working with, and that'll be helpful. And what you should end up with would be some type of a support like this here, where you have a section of what you are going to be using as the main support for the stringer. So this is just kind of, you're just kind of tracing the lower section of the stringer. In other words, you're going to need to create some type of a support underneath the center of the stairs, and then you're going to be able to put the blocks in. And this can be a 4x6. It can be something a little, you can make it lower. You know, if you're having a difficult time getting it in, you know, and it gets to where you cut an inch off of this, you can just drop it down. You know, if depending upon how the stairway is built, where it's located, how long or how small of a stairway you're dealing with is going to all impact the fact of whether or not you're going to be able to get this in easy, or whether you're going to need to cut it up into smaller sections to use it as a support. So let's go ahead and put the risers back on, give you an idea of what we're looking at here. Tight connection at the top. Just another view of it here. And here you can see, I'm going to go ahead and remove this. You can see how far away we are. Installing something like this is not going to be difficult, because it's not even touching the bottom of the risers. If you want to cut something, you want it to be a little stronger, and you have 7 inches here, you can grab a 2x8 and rip it down to 7 inches. If it's something that's 5 inches, then rip a 2x6 down to 5 inches. You don't have to use a 2x4 if you're dealing with something that's 5 inches. You don't have to use a 2x6 if you have enough room to put something in there that's 7 inches or even 6 inches or 6.5 inches. Now here's where it can't get any easier. All you're going to do is shape a block to fit on top of your new stringer support. You can use screws or nails to attach everything. And I have the treads removed. I'm not suggesting you need to remove the treads to do something like this. You can cut your support block and then slide it into place and then install the screws or the nails to create a nice tight connection. And you can always grab a scrap board, plywood, 1x8, whatever you think you will need, and then you can nail it or screw it in. You can use adhesive too. You can use adhesive wherever you think it will help. And just another view of it there. Like I said, it just doesn't get any easier doing it this way instead of actually cutting a stringer and trying to get it in there. And of course, here's what it will look like after you have installed the rest of your shaped blocks. Another view of it there. And of course, you can always put these support brace boards on each side also. You don't just need to put it on one side if you don't think that's going to be enough. And of course, you can make them larger. And you can always use building hardware. Maybe some straps will work for you instead of the plywood. Now, I do want to point out the bottom board here. You don't need to use this on the bottom. You can simply slide a shaped board. It might only be 4 inches wide. Rip something down to 4 inches and drive it in there. Have it sit on top of your framing plates. And then, of course, attach it with your screws or nails. And like I said, it just doesn't get any easier than this. So that wraps up the video. And if you like it, you know what to do. This is a video that I think is going to help a lot of people. And don't forget, these are just some of the ways. Take some of the methods in here. And if you're in a precarious situation, something that's going to be difficult, get a little creative. Don't, maybe put a support board underneath the middle of the stringer. If you can cut it in half, you might need a support board underneath it, depending on what you're going to be